90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. Welcome to another edition of From the Press Box. I am Rob Leonard. Joining me, of course, is my brother and award-winning sports writer, Tim Leonard. By the way, brother, we just found out Eric Fischetti, host of several sports talk shows here at WHPC, does not like...
Fischetti does have a lot of shows.
Yeah, he does, but he does not like cannolis. And I don't.
It truly is disturbing.
I mean, he's from Long Island. I mean, and he's Italian. But even if you're not Italian, you can still like cannolis. How can you not like cannolis?
I have no idea.
And then he's, like, I haven't had a good one. I mean, you're on Long Island. There's enough at regular bakeries and Italian bakeries. And then if you're really looking for some good stuff, you go into the city. You go downtown and you find a bakery. You just walk in and say, "Can I have a cannoli?"
No. You don't go to a bakery, brother. You go to Venero's.
Yeah, I know that.
On 11th Street, or you go to Ferraris.
Right.
Down in Little Italy.
Well, we shouldn't give them a plug.
Trust me on it. Trust my years of experience.
We're not giving them a plug. That's why I didn't want to say
I'm not giving them a plug. I'm just saying they're very good cannolis.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, brother, lots of things going on in the sports world. First of all, I want to start off the Mets. I know the Yankees are doing really good, but the Mets are the more drama.
You want to start with the drama, brother. You want the drama.
Yeah, I do, because, what was it, a month ago, the Mets were in first place. The NL East, whoever wins first place goes to the playoffs. There's not going to be any second-place team going to as a wild card team there.
Not from the National League East.
No. So, anyway, there are some Mets who forget that Randy Johnson, a few years ago, came to New York and did not embrace the New York lifestyle, did not embrace the media, did not embrace the fans. And he was gone, after 2 years?
I think it was 1 year.
Maybe 1 year. Anyway, so he didn't, here's one of the great pitchers of all time, not embracing New York, and what happens? Javi Baez and Francisco Lindor maybe should read the Randy Johnson story, make sure not to, follow it. Because in New York, if you don't produce, you might get booed. I mean, Mike Piazza got booed when he first arrived, and he wasn't doing good back in '98. We know that because we were in St. Louis at Busch Stadium because we were doing a trip across country, bringing our father's car across country. Right. And we stopped off at Busch Stadium. You had an interview with Tony La Russa. You were doing something there. And then we got
an interview with the GM, Walt Jocketty.
Okay.
I was actually doing a story about Scott Boras, the agent.
Okay. So anyway, we get there and we're sitting in not great seats, but not bad seats. And Piazza comes up and we're booing him. Huh. And what happens, brother? If you remember, I don't know if you remember. There's a woman.
I don't remember, brother. So just keep talking.
Okay. So some woman in front of us. Guy says, "You guys from New York?" And we go, "Yeah, of course." And she goes, "Why are you booing Piazza? He's a great catcher." I go, "He's not doing anything right now. He's supposed to be doing something, and then he's not doing it. So we boo him." She goes, "Oh,
man."
And she was right in a way. She goes, "He's going to get better," and he did. Of course,
they're very nice people in St. Louis. I'll give them that.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe Lindor and Baez, things change for them. But I'm not sure. I mean, you got to embrace New York. If you're going to come here, especially Lindor, he's a 10-year contract, multi-million dollars. He's going to be here for the next 10 years. They're not going to get rid of him.
341 of those millions, brother.
Right. So he is going to be here. And he better start.
Yeah.
He better. And we're not talking about doing like a charity thing. The charity things are great with the Mets, and Mets have always been attached with good charities, especially guys in the old days like Bobby Valentine and John Franco. Franco was, he's not going to the Hall of Fame, but he's a pretty good relief pitcher. But there were times when you're on the edge of your seat because it's like, he's all of a sudden not striking out people, and next thing you know, it's like bases loaded. Then maybe sometimes he strikes them out or gets them out, and sometimes he did. So, but he never really got booed because he was liked, and he was a good guy.
Well, Franco was also a New York guy, bro.
Right? He's also from Brooklyn, so that
also helps.
Yeah. So anyway, this is what Sandy Alderson wrote. First of all, I worry when general managers start putting out statements because obviously Uncle Stevie knows about this because you don't put out a statement without
Your boy Uncle Stevie put out a tweet, brother.
Well, I prefer not having a tweet, but
that's all part of this mix. Is that Uncle Stevie put out a tweet?
Right.
So
is that why Sandy felt he had to do one?
Well, I mean, there was a team reaction, and then there was also Steve Cohen, the owner of the Mets, his tweet was decidedly different from the release that the Mets put out. All he said was that he longs for the days when black uniforms was the most controversial thing going on with the Mets.
Well, he's probably right.
Yeah, but he's not right, because that really has never been the case.
Yeah, well, anyway, this is what it says. In a post-game press conference today, Javi Baez stated that his thumbs-down gesture during the game was a message to fans who recently have booed him and other players for poor performance. These comments and any gestures by him or any other players with a similar intent are totally unacceptable and will not be tolerated. Well, did they find him yet? No. Mets fans are understandably frustrated over the team's recent performance. That's an understatement. The players and the organization are equally frustrated, but fans at Citi Field have every right to express their own disappointment. Booing is every fan's right. It should say New York fans, right? Because, as you said, other places don't boo like New Yorkers. And Yankee fans have never been known for their subtlety either, Anyway, the Mets...
Yankee fans haven't been doing much booing in the last 2 weeks, bro.
No, they haven't. The Mets will not tolerate any player gesture that is unprofessional in its meaning or is directed in a negative way towards our fans. I will be meeting with our players and staff to convey this message directly. Met fans are loyal, passionate, knowledgeable, and more than willing to express themselves. Oh, yeah. We love them for every one of these qualities. Now, I have to sometimes say that online, on Facebook, I have to say Met fans have been crazy since day one in a bad way. It's like, get rid of everyone along the way. They've said that about every player at one point. The manager, get rid of Alderson, get rid of the owner already. They think he's the next Wilpon. And he's not. Uncle Stevie, I don't think is. So I'm just wondering what's going on with this team. What type of meeting is Sandy Alderson going to have? And should Uncle Stevie be there too? I really think he should.
No.
I do, but
no. No. Owners should not be involved in this kind of stuff.
Well,
this is why you have general managers. This is why you have team presidents. This is all Sandy Alderson's job. I mean, I get it that Cohen wants to be involved, and I get it that he is, he is still a passionate fan, even though he's now a passionate owner. But owners don't get involved in stuff like this, and he can put out a Twitter statement if he wants. That's certainly his right. He does own the team, but that should be the extent of it for him. This is something Sandy has to deal with, and I mean, for me, the most disturbing part about this is the obvious one, and you touched on it before. Francisco Lindor. I mean, let me just back up a second. Javi Baez is a guy who is a rental. I mean, we all know this. Nobody expects Javi Baez to sign a long-term deal with the Mets after coming over on a deadline day trade with the Cubs. He would have to play second base, which is something he said he didn't want to do, except to come to the Mets and to play with his buddy Francisco Lindor. Basically, from what I read last night, this was the work of three players. It was Baez, Lindor, and Kevin Pillar. And Kevin Pillar last night tried to play it off on Twitter, said, "Hey, don't read too much into it. It's just something that we're having some fun with, etc." Well, first of all, if you're just having some fun with it, and it's a little thing between the three of you because you're frustrated with the fans booing, well, there's a couple ways around that. Number one is always the number one. play better. Be better. Don't be crap. And the fans will love you. Now,
if the Mets start winning again, they're going to boo less. I mean, that's just a fact.
It's 100% a fact. But here's the Mets since the deadline and since acquiring Javi Baez are 9-20. They have fallen so fast and so hard out of first place.
Yep.
That I don't know of anybody who follows baseball who thinks the Mets are going to get into the playoffs or get back into first place. The Braves have soared past them. Even the Phillies probably appear to have a better chance at catching the Braves than the Mets do.
I agree.
Because the Mets in the last month, and that's a month. 9-20 is a month of baseball. The Mets have been inept, completely inept. It's really embarrassing how they're playing. Now, part of the reason for that is because Javi Baez was hurt. He was out for a couple weeks. Lindor was out for a couple of months because of strained oblique and wasn't playing very well before that in the first year of a 10-year, $341 million contract.
Yep.
And that gets me back to the disturbing point. The most disturbing point for me is that your supposedly franchise shortstop, who was praised and renowned for his energy, for his positivity, for always having a smile on his face. Those were supposedly selling points when this contract was being negotiated. All right. Francisco Lindor wanted to be here. He wanted to be here so much that he signed a 10-year contract to be with the Mets before he'd even played a game with them. And as much as I endorse the move, because Lindor is supposed to be one of the really great players in the game, I remember saying at the time that it's kind of a dangerous thing to do before you even play a game with a franchise, because how do you know if you're gonna like the place? How do you know if you really want to be on the team? He went through most of spring training before the contract was signed. Well, okay, kind of like dating a girl for a month. Everything's usually pretty good for the first month. Then as time goes on, you find out about the person. You find out more, and you probably find out about some things you maybe don't like.
Well,
and here we are with Francisco Lindor, not even a full year into a 10-year contract, and this is a really disturbing moment, I guess, because what happens now? How does Francisco Lindor win the Mets fans back?
Start batting 300.
Other than playing well. And if he plays well, I'm sure Met fans will forgive this transgression.
They will.
But at the same time, there's going to be I don't want to say significant, but a certain faction of fans that are just going to say, screw this guy. Who does he think he is?
I agree. And one of the things I think he has to do, he has to not only do the whole thing with getting his numbers up, and he has to be the team leader. You don't get this amount of money and just sit behind someone else and say you do the talking or you do the leading. He is the leader of this team. Whether he wants it or not, I don't know. I mean, he took the money, and that usually means
he does want. I mean, he does want. That's his personality. His personality is that. But there's, and it's hard to say what's going on in the clubhouse because obviously we're not there. We don't know. But that's been the kind of guy he has been in his career. He's been a voice in the clubhouse. He's been one of those guys. He gets along. He gets along with all kinds of players, and by all kinds of players, yes, I am talking race, because he gets along with the Spanish players, he gets along with the English players, and he gets along with the black players. It's been his history. But this episode first of all, it shows really bad judgment.
Yeah,
I mean, number one, you don't do something like this because you know you're going to be asked about it, and either come up with a good enough lie, like they did with the raccoon in the dugout nonsense.
That was real. I heard that was real.
Yeah, right.
Because there's we've been down. You've been down by Shea, that whole area. It's like, a raccoon. Could come from one of those auto dealerships or auto.
Well, I'll tell you what. After working at the U.S. Open this week, I can tell you there's raccoons all over the place over there.
Of course,
but none of them got into the Mets dugout. I can guarantee you that.
Okay.
So that issue, but the issue that is the most disturbing to me is. First of all, I don't know what Javi Baez thought he was doing by telling the press that, this is why we're doing the whole thumbs down thing. Is because it's a little response to the fans. If they're going to, I mean, that was just idiotic.
He was,
and Baez is a free agent after this season, and if he thinks that was a good idea to put that out in the media, that that he can't handle being booed a little bit. He might have just knocked about 6 teams off of a potential landing spot for him in free agency, and he probably just cost himself in the neighborhood of $20 million.
Probably, yeah.
Because I mean, there's 2 reasons he won't max out his contract. Number one is the season that he's having, because he's put up decent numbers in some areas, but his batting average has been terrible. But that's not the message you want. I mean, players when they're becoming free agents, you want as much to be right as possible. You want to be known as a good guy and a good player. Right. That's what teams want. They want the good guy and the good player. And for him to say that, this is our little protest against the fans because the fans are too negative. Well, you know what? You're playing not even .333 baseball for the last month. You were clinging to first place for a couple of months, and then you're playing so badly that you don't even have a shot anymore. And that all happened in a month. Because Met fans until the last month happened, Met fans were very cautiously optimistic. And it was like, well, you know what? We're hanging on to first place. It doesn't necessarily matter how badly we're playing because
that's the way I felt, brother. But I hate to say, I hate bringing it up online, which is why I don't think Uncle Stevie should use Twitter. I think he should go on an interview and do it video wise because I did tweet at him that he should come on our show, brother. But, we can work on that.
I'm waiting for a response.
But my problem with him being on Twitter is that he's swimming in that pool. Because that pool is going to just keep shooting at him.
It's a toxic pool, bro.
Yeah, and it doesn't change. And Met fans have been angry, like I said, most of the season. At least the ones online.
Met fans have been angry most of the century.
No, they haven't.
Of course they have.
I don't know.
Met fans are angry people,
2 years we made the playoffs. 2006 we should have went to the World Series.
Yes, and there's a lot of anger about that.
Yeah, well, But anyway, what I'm saying is that I think Uncle Stevie shouldn't do the Twitter thing. He should actually raise it up because Twitter, that means other people can, connect with you, whether it's good or bad. And it's probably better that he goes on, from
the press box.
From the press box is a good place to start, but could be other places too. and that's what I would do because I think or call call one of the Mets beat writers and say, hey, who's ever Joel Sherman?
Christy Acker. A friend of the show, Christy
Acker covers.
Oh, no, she covers the Yankees. She did cover the Mets.
Yeah, Disha is on the Daily News. What's her, I don't know, Disha Thora, I think her name is?
Thosar, I think.
Yeah, Thosar, that's it. So anyway, that's what they should do. But anyway, one more thing, because I want to go to the Yankees. On Saturday, they retired Jerry Kuzman's number. Yes. I felt bad. It wasn't a sellout. It was a bad day, so some people probably didn't show up. He looked happy as heck. A guy who definitely deserved to have his number retired for the really great seasons he had. He's the one who was Game 5. He won Game 5. So in 1969. So
I will say that I remember hearing the quote, and I didn't necessarily commit this to memory, but it just popped back into my head. Jerry Koosman said, I wish I could still fit in my uniform so I could go out and do it all over again.
Well, that's good.
I thought that it's funny, but it's also beautiful.
It is, and you know what? The Mets probably could use him.
Hell yes, the Mets could use him. Are you kidding? Pitching has been one of the. I don't even want to say pitching has been the main problem because the hitting has been atrocious. But yeah, I mean, believe me, the Mets would love to have another Jerry Koosman. Right now. Yeah. I mean, they still with DeGrom out and Syndergaard. We do have to mention this, brother. Because Syndergaard has been battling to get back because he's coming back from the Tommy John and he was supposed to actually do his second rehab start last night. Well, Noah Syndergaard just came down with COVID.
Oh wow!
So punch him out for 2 weeks.
And he was he was playing with the Cyclones.
Yeah, he was supposed to make a second start for the Cyclones last night. So now put him out for 2 weeks. Now he's not back until minimum September 10th. So how and where is Noah Syndergaard going to pitch?
Why? What happened to the 7-day thing? It used to be 7 days.
COVID, brother. COVID is 10 days.
No, but it used to. They at one point they said they can 7.
No, not for COVID.
Yes, they did.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
They're going to do 10 days. I mean, it's been pretty standard. In fact, some guys it's been longer. So it's a matter of the test coming back negative. And that typically takes in the neighborhood of 10 days.
Anyway, so
now we're talking about 3 weeks left in the season, and he's still going to have to take at least one more rehab start. So where
does he take it? I mean, this minor league
that's why the minor league should be over. So he's going to have to throw probably like a simulated game with the Mets, and this is all going to be to maybe get 2 starts.
I don't think he's going to get him.
But he wants to. He is motivated to do it because he is a free agent.
Yeah, he wants to make sure that he's okay to pitch. He wants to make sure the other teams know.
He wants to make sure other teams know he's okay to pitch, so that he can get a decent offer. Syndergaard's looking at what they call a pillow contract, brother, which will be a 1-year deal for probably like a $5 million base and a whole lot of incentives that can get him up to say $15 million. Which a lot of which he won't be able to hit because the year after Tommy John typically is kind of a get back into it, kind of get back used to pitching again, and the amount of stress that puts on an arm, it usually takes a full season to get back to being the pitcher you were. So Syndergaard's he's got problems as far as money for next year.
Right.
Met fans might be happy about that because he likely would sign the contract with the Mets, assuming that they want him back, which I assume they would. And we'll see what happens with him next year. But this year has become basically a complete waste.
I'm waiting for the signing of Big Sexy.
No,
he's still pitching.
Yes, of course he is, brother. He'll be pitching until he's 65.
If he can do it, Satchel Paige was an old man when he pitched.
Yes.
George Blanda was an old man when he's kicking.
Yes, brother.
Anyway, let's talk about the Yankees, brother. 13-game winning streak's pretty damn good.
How about that, brother?
It ended on Saturday.
What's not good is when you hear the year 1961 and you realize that was 60 years ago.
Well,
but that was the last time the Yankees had a 13-game winning streak. Was back in the days of Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris and the M&M boys going on to win a World Series that year. So,
and it probably would have been even better if Mickey hadn't gotten hurt.
Well, yeah, it always is.
So.
By the way, bro, just to correct something I said earlier, Randy Johnson actually pitched 2 seasons.
Okay, but
two good seasons.
It felt like it was 1 though. He probably had a good numbers. I've known him. He probably had.
Well, you know what? I was just going to say the second season he was 17-11, but his ERA was 5.
Oh wow!
So that's just being part of a good ball club, and the guy's hitting for you because you don't win 17 games with a 5 ERA unless your offense is banging out runs.
Anyway, so the Yankees are 25-7 since July 27th. They are really playing well. The only problem is the Devil Rays, or the Rays.
Just the Rays, bro. Just the Rays. There's no more Devils there.
Are 22-8, which
in that span, yeah. So that's
not good for the
despite playing phenomenally well for more than a month, just in the same stretch that the Mets have played phenomenally bad, the Yankees have only gained 3 games on Tampa Bay, and that's the difficult part, because everybody who I know, fans that I know, they keep saying, it's like, well, geez, we keep winning, so how come we're not picking up games on Tampa? And I'm like, yeah, I said, well, that's because Tampa's good, and Tampa wins almost every day too. It's for what the Yankees have done in the last really 2 months, because before they lost their last 2 games to Oakland, they were something like, I think it was, I would say 36-12 in I think 48 games, which is .750 ball. It's
that's very good.
It's an absurd standard and an absurd record. I mean, you're basically winning every day, and
yep.
They under normal circumstances, the Yankees would have surged into first place, and instead they're still like 5 or 6 games behind Tampa, which is ridiculous, and it just shows how well Tampa's been playing. So, it's something that I said a while ago here, and the Yankees might just wind up having to be stuck with the wild card.
Right,
and right now there's 6 games behind Tampa.
Okay, they're in second, right?
They're in second place. Yeah. Tampa is playing is basically Tampa's the second best team in baseball. They're even playing better than the Dodgers, who were supposed to be the super team. The Dodgers.
To me, that's impressive.
Yeah,
that's very impressive, actually.
And even the Red Sox are playing pretty well, because right now the Yankees are 6 games behind Tampa. The Red Sox are 8 games in the standings, but 9 in the loss column, and then 3 behind the Yankees in the loss column. So, that's part of it. And a big part of this is the Baltimore Orioles, which, I know you're saying, how do the Baltimore Orioles figure in a conversation about pennant? Well, Tampa has gone 18-1 against the Orioles this season, which obviously is ridiculous, but that's what's been going on. The Orioles recently had a 16-game losing streak. Congratulations to them. But this, for the Yankees right now, the way they're playing is encouraging. But like I said, the fact that they haven't really picked up a lot of ground is kind of discouraging, because they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing. But a big part of this is, and I don't want to hear any more about this, because obviously it's a fallacy, that when people say, well, the games in April and May don't count as much as the games in September. Well, you know what? The Yankees spent a significant part of the season basically being a 500 team, right, and taking gut punch loss after gut punch loss, and basically finding ways to blow games, and that's a lot of losses that, had they not happened, the Yankees are in first place right now. Yeah, well, I can think of probably 6 or 8 losses right off the top of my head from this season that were infuriating and maddening and never should have happened. But yep, those, you got to count them on the L side. So that's where we are with the Yankees, and that early stretch and that stretch of just mediocre baseball and those were that stretch was why Yankees GM Brian Cashman was so aggressive at the trade deadline to fix what was wrong with this team. And Anthony Rizzo and Joey Gallo both have been good additions, but neither one of them is putting up really great numbers. But that said, it really has changed the culture, and when you change culture, it can be as important as performance.
Sure.
So Giancarlo Stanton is playing outstandingly well in the last month plus. And a big part of that is because he's back in the outfield on an everyday basis. His numbers have gone up significantly since all that. And there's something it's something that's been said many times over the years, that players don't like being the DH because they don't feel part of the game. They feel like they're pinch hitting 4 times in a game instead of being out there.
Another reason to get rid of the DH.
No, it's another reason to have the DH.
No, why not have 2 DHs then? What's the difference?
What's that?
I'm just saying, if you why not have 2 designated hitters?
You're saying silliness.
Of course I'm saying silliness. The DH is still silly. The only thing good about it is that some players can extend their careers. That's all.
Yeah, well, that's what happens, and you don't have to have pitchers hitting and getting hurt when they
get hurt anyway. When do they get hurt as batting? Running bases.
When they run the bases, when they swing the bat and they hurt an oblique, it happens a lot with pitchers.
No, it doesn't. They hurt them because they're throwing 102 miles an hour.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. Anyway, we're going to take a break right now, brother, and we're going to come back and talk more about the Yankees and other things, too. You're listening to 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. By the way, if you want to call in, I'm in the studio, 516-572-7440.
Okay. Go.
Tell your friends about the Nassau Morning Madhouse. Hear what you're missing.
Check it out.
I want to find out if we would be able to compete in Jeopardy. Jill. The category is Sweet Treats. This name comes before Pieces, Fast Break, and Peanut Butter Cup. Sweet Treats is the category.
Reese's. Wait, what is Reese's?
You say Reese's and not Reese's?
Yeah.
Yeah, the answer is Reese's.
Reese's.
You say Reese's?
How do you say it?
Reese's.
Reese's.
Oh, that's not correct.
I've heard other people say Reese's. I worked at a movie theater and they say, I'll take the Reese's Pieces. I'm like, no, you won't. You'll take the Reese's Pieces, though. I'll give you that.
Reese's. Guys, I don't think you're right at all. I'm sorry.
Nassau Morning Madhouse. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9.
Yeah.
On the voice of Nassau Community College.
90.3 WHPC.
All hit music.
For all those songs radio has forgotten about, join me, Big Ed, Mondays from 10 a.m. till noon for The Good Gold Show. We'll bring back all the great hits of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and more. The sounds of doo-wop to disco, all the Motown, soul, and great rock and roll. We'll even take your requests and dedications to The Good Gold Show.
Music.
On the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC, and streaming on the iHeartRadio app.
It's NCC Map 101.
The best of 2K through today adds up to the Nassau Mix.
I do my hair talk. I'm in love with the shape of you.
We could have had it all.
Lose yourself in the music, the moment.
Walk the fire for you. Just let me adore you.
The Nassau Mix.
Playing the best of 2K through today.
I'm the highest in the room.
The voice of Nassau Community College. 90.3 WHPC.
90.3 WHPC. Keep feeling fascination. Human League. Not Don't You Want Me, which was the other big hit. My name is Rob Leonard. Joining me, of course, is my brother and co-host and award-winning sports writer, Tim Leonard. Hello again, brother. How are we doing? Can you hear me?
Doing all right, brother.
Okay, I'm glad you can hear me because sometimes I worry you can't hear me because you're on Zoom and I don't know. This time I'm in the studio. Usually we'd be at home. Be like, okay, Anyway, what else we have to talk about the Yankees? Anything, they're playing well and I think they'd be the wild card team. I wouldn't mind being the wild card team if I was the Yankees.
No, you don't want to be the wild card team.
Why not?
Because all it takes is one good start, and your season is over.
Yeah, but if that's the only way you're getting in, then that's great. They're not going to win the division. Then you come in any other way you can.
Well, then
that's why they have it.
Yeah, but it's not a game any team wants to be in, brother. Plain simple.
But if you're not in it at all, if you're at home watching the games like the Mets, then you'd rather be at least to have the shot.
Well, of course, brother. Of course. I mean, you're stating the obvious.
That's
You're
what
stating the incredibly obvious.
That's what I do, brother. Because sometimes you forget the obvious because you're too
Thank you, Captain.
whatever. You know. Anyway,
But the Yankees
got the
don't
sniffles there,
want
brother?
to. I just sneezed a couple times, brother.
Okay.
So, but the Yankees don't want to be in a single elimination game where all it would take is one start, and plus, assuming that Garrett Cole does start that wild card game, well, now you burned him for the playoffs, and he's not going to be able to start until game 3 or 4. So
Okay.
there's a lot of drawbacks to the wild card game. You know, and then you know, then it would be it's looking like the Red Sox will be the other wild card team. Also, that's another issue. You know, unless the Athletics can catch the Red Sox.
Right.
So, and we'll see. You know, I mean, the Athletics are only 2.5 games behind the Red Sox and 2 in the loss column. So,
Okay.
you know, the Yankees' winning streak ending against the Athletics, you know, didn't hurt them necessarily as much as it hurt the Red Sox.
Okay. Well,
Because it kept Oakland within shouting distance, as they say.
sure.
So, you know, and really, there's no other team. The Seattle Mariners are kind of close, but you know, going along with the tried and true Tim Leonard 10 games over theory about playoff contenders, the Mariners are 9 games over 500. So we're not calling them a contender yet.
Of course not. Anyway, well, we got to get to other topics, brother. So,
I just wanted to mention, brother, quickly. Like I said, Giancarlo Stanton has been red hot since his move to the outfield. He's batting like 320. He's hitting bombs left and right. Aaron Judge has been equally as hot, this is really the first time in 4 years since Stanton came to the Yankees that he and Judge are both hot at the same time. And this is what you get. You know, you get a team that wins 13 games in a row. And the funny part about all this is that Luke Voit last week was the American League Player of the Week. That's how good Luke Voit was last week.
right.
So when you have all of these big bats bashing the ball, it certainly does make it a lot easier to win games. So that's where the Yankees have been at. This is, you know, like I said, the first extended stretch for Judge and Stanton to both be healthy at the same time and to both be hot at the same time. So, you know, the pitching has been good. I don't necessarily want to say great, but it's been very good. The bullpen has been good. The rotation has been good, except for these last 2 games where the offense just didn't get it done. And again, that's what happens when somebody has a good start and you wind up scoring 1 or 2 runs and you get a couple, you know, get 3 or 4 hits and you lose a game. So,
Right.
you know, this series with the Athletics, I thought was key because, you know, this is a playoff caliber team. This is a team that could be there, could be your wild card opponent. So I would have liked it for the Yankees to take 3 out of 4 instead of splitting 4 games, but
Well, it'd be interesting with the A's. Right now, they have other things going on in their lives. The stadium situation in Oakland. Las Vegas would love to have them have another Oakland team go to Las Vegas. The Major League Baseball wants a certain stadium in a certain place for Oakland. So I don't know what's going to happen with. Who knows? The A's could win everything and then announce they're moving. So
it's possible.
So it might be tough to be a A's fan this year. Anyway, brother, you are working the U.S. Open this week, and next week, we should say, and it's in Flushing Meadow.
And the week after.
And the week after.
next 2 weeks.
Right. So just quickly, Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal are out. The Williams sisters also have stepped away from the women's side, Serena and Venus. So it's going to be a little bit different in the sense that the people everyone knows and expect to do good, even if they maybe not going to do good, because they are getting older and, people are moving up the ladder, so to speak. So it's going to be interesting to see different people establishing themselves for the U.S. Open in tennis.
We're establishing, basically what's going to happen with some established stars being out is that you wind up with maybe a lesser known player creating some U.S. Open magic, or
Right.
maybe even a veteran player who's still around, who maybe you've forgotten about a little bit, or thought that they were kind of on the downside of their career, like Jimmy Connors years ago did.
Right. Also, there was great timing with that too, because Jimmy Connors didn't play all the best players to get where he got, but it was also, and this goes back to Javi Baez and Francisco Lindor. New York loves an underdog. They will embrace you, and once they embrace you, they will keep you for a long time, even if you're doing bad or not living up to what you should be. And they should maybe be watching the tennis to see who's going to be the person embraced or persons embraced by the New York fans. The tennis crowd at Flushing Meadow is not known for their silence either. It's a lot of fancy people sometimes sitting in the boxes, but they have enough loud people in the upper decks to be heard. So it's this is something maybe that a couple of players on the Mets could say, hey, you know what? Maybe we can learn something here.
Maybe they should. I don't know what they have for days off or day games, but maybe after a day game, go check out the U.S. Open.
Yeah, it's right next door. So I mean,
right next door, right across the boardwalk.
Yep.
They're at the. But Naomi Osaka is back on the women's side, and she'll be looking to win her third U.S. Open in 4 years. So that's a significant thing for her. And Novak Djokovic obviously would be the overwhelming favorite on the men's side with Federer and Nadal out because of injuries.
Right.
Now, the significant thing that just happened in the last couple of days with the U.S. Open is that they have decided that you will have to show proof of at least one vaccination to get in, and that wasn't the case when people were buying tickets. So some people have gotten a bit upset about that. But the other thing that you have to remember is a lot of the crowd at the U.S. Open was based on people coming to New York from foreign lands, as they call them, brother.
Right.
And that's not happening this year because we're still in a pandemic, and we're still kind of monitoring who we're letting into the country, and there are certain countries that we aren't allowing anybody in. So, I expect the attendance maybe to be down a little bit this year, but at the same time, it gives New Yorkers and metropolitan area people a better chance of getting tickets, and to be able to maybe go to more matches, but again, the key is to be vaccinated and to be smart about COVID. The Pfizer shot last week got full FDA approval, so
no excuse there not to get it.
If you're sitting here saying, "Oh, I don't know what's in it," and whatever, I love these people who say they don't know what's in it, so they don't trust it, but they'll go to the U.S. Open and eat a hot dog.
Right. What's in a hot dog? God knows. We
don't know. So I'm.
It's
looking
a bad
forward
excuse,
to it.
brother. It's a bad excuse.
It's a horrible excuse, but I don't want to go on too much about what.
And we should say, everyone says, well, just my freedom. We should say that the current president and his staff have been vaccinated. Former President Trump has been vaccinated.
It's the Trump vaccine, brother. Just don't forget, it's the Trump vaccine.
Everyone who works at Fox News cannot be on the air or work there without the vaccine.
Yes.
So
everybody at the U.S. Open has to be vaccinated.
Right.
Had to be vaccinated before we started our jobs. We had to be vaccinated.
So if you're watching certain channels or you think certain people are getting it, they've already had it. So get it.
True that.
Anyway, brother, quickly, because we only are running out of time. We're only on for an hour. We're here every Monday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., and then it becomes a podcast later on. So if you missed it or want, maybe you're working right now, our friend Steve Mandrasina, host of Everything and Anything, Fridays 6 to 8 here, he doesn't call what we do afterwards a podcast. He says, well, it's not a podcast. I go, is it on demand? And he goes, yeah. I go, well, it's a podcast then.
Podcast. That's what on demand is.
Yeah. So anyway, brother, I'm very proud of your Tottenham Hotspur.
How about that? Wow, we're going to soccer early. Look at this.
Well, they're in first place in the Premier League, brother. Three.
I am well aware,
wins. 3 straight wins.
Straight 1-0 wins. How about that,
brother? I was on the train the other day, and I saw someone wearing an Arsenal shirt.
Oh, you should have laughed at him, brother.
I was gonna laugh at them, but I decided
you know why
not
you
to.
should have laughed at him?
Because you hate Arsenal.
Who's in last place, brother?
I don't know.
Last.
Arsenal.
Wow. So this is the week that every Tottenham fan has dreamed of for decades. Because Tottenham is in first, and Arsenal is in last.
Is that the dream?
That was why I posted the screenshot of the Premier League standings on my Facebook page.
See, usually to me it's like Halle Berry in a bikini or something, and you think of
I posted that as well.
Tottenham Hotspur in first and Arsenal in last. So
last place. They got destroyed by Manchester City over the weekend. But let's talk about good news first, brother, because Tottenham Hotspur.
Well, hold on. Is Harry Kane still with the team?
Of course he is.
I thought he was being traded away for multi-billions of dollars.
No.
Oh, I thought he was being traded.
Manchester City did not want to meet the very fair £150 million valuation.
That's a lot
for Harry Kane.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. I'm not arguing that it's a lot, but it's very fair.
Bowie Kuhn would have stopped it.
It actually should have been more.
Bowie Kuhn would have stopped it, brother. You know that.
What's that?
Bowie Kuhn would have stopped the sale.
No.
Yeah.
This is how business is done in the UK, brother. It's not like it is here. It's not. You don't trade people in the Premier League. But let me just go back here. Tottenham Hotspur surging to the top of the Premier League after their third straight 1-0 victory. This one was yesterday on Sunday against Watford. Heung-min Son got the goal on a free kick. And Spurs are the only team in the Premier League to win all of their matches thus far. So we're only 3 games into the season, and just one team left that has won every game, and that is my Tottenham Hotspur. They are 9 points on top of the league table. And yes, Harry Kane is not going anywhere. The Premier League transfer window closes on Tuesday night, brother. It's a very significant date, because after that, then you are who you are. The groceries have been bought, as Bill Parcells would have said, and that's what you're going forward with. So
Parcells had a truck come back.
Yes, a very large grocery cart for Coach Parcells. But like I said, Manchester City was not willing to meet the very fair £150 million valuation. And Harry Kane announced on Twitter a few days ago that he would be staying at Tottenham.
The excitement never ends.
Phenomenal news, and they're in first place. So keep it going, stun the world, shock the world, win a title this year, and then maybe Harry Kane will want to stay for longer. I'm still expecting next summer for the request to be submitted and saying, all right, I want to go somewhere else. It wouldn't surprise me, but we'll see where that goes. And like I said, Arsenal is in last place, which is just what a dream. But we're looking at West Ham United. They're in second place.
Okay, Brian, I got a question for you, brother.
Yes, brother.
Do you hate the Red Sox more or the Arsenal more? Or Arsenal more?
I have to go Red Sox because I'm an American. I have a longer hatred of them. But Arsenal is Arsenal's right there with Duke among teams that I hate.
That's true. You hate Duke almost as much.
It really is. Like, if I had to go top 3 hate, it's Red Sox, Duke, and Arsenal.
The criminal class at Duke, even though our friend went to Duke Law. So
yes, well, but your Liverpool, brother, your Liverpool is right now in technically in 5th place.
Oh, David Bedford is not.
But it's still early. I mean, they're in a tie with 7 points with 5 teams. And we're just talking goal differential and whatnot. Most of them have the same goal differential. So, Liverpool's fighting. They had a match with Chelsea on Saturday where Chelsea actually had a player red carded. So Liverpool should have won that game, but they wound up in a 1-1 draw. As far as the soccer world, brother, the other big news. There's 2 big newses. Number one is that Manchester United have arranged to get Cristiano Ronaldo back to the club for a what you would think is a paltry transfer fee of £20 million. But Ronaldo was in the last year of his contract, and he does have a massive salary, which Manchester United is going to have to pay. I mean, he's making somewhere in the neighborhood of about £800,000 a week.
Wow.
which translates to like $40 million a year or 40 million pounds a year.
That's very good.
Yeah. So there's only a couple teams in the world that can afford that. And Juventus was never going to make a fortune from selling him. But, so he's back in Manchester United now, which is going to make them tougher. He probably won't play for them for at least another week, because we have a international break coming up this weekend, and then next week after. So that would be September 11th weekend. He'll probably get his first action back with Manchester United. And Lionel Messi, brother, I know he's your guy, made his debut with Paris Saint-Germain over the weekend, coming on in the 66th minute to replace your other boy Neymar. PSG won that game 2-0 with Kylian Mbappe scoring both goals. Now, Mbappe has been the subject of transfer rumors as well, because Real Madrid is very interested in him, and the fee would be astronomical.
Well, let's end the soccer. You're going on the backwards, upside down triangle.
It's stars, brother. I'm talking stars here.
Okay. Anyway, let's quickly get to NFL exhibition football, which is never exciting, and they force you to buy as part of your season ticket package.
I know you hate that part.
I do. I really do. I think it's a crime. I think they should give the tickets away to charity, or they should play in non-NFL cities, so at least they can see a football game, and the ticket should be $20. That's something else. Anyway, the Giants lost to the Patriots 22-20. Daniel Jones 17 for 22, which isn't bad, but only for 135 yards, which isn't that
but
good.
a critical interception that the interception that he threw was Giants inside the 5, ready to score a touchdown, and just such an incredibly poor decision that was compounded by an incredibly poor throw. So, I get Daniel Jones is trying to make something happen and wants to get that touchdown, but dude, he can't make the throw that he made. He was on the run. He tried to throw across his body back. It was just this is a third-year guy. He should know better than this by now. And to see him make that kind of decision in yes, it's an exhibition game, but again, he should know better by now.
Right.
This is 3 years in the league. He should know. You don't just throw it out of the end zone. Let's get a field goal and let's at least get some points out.
Or try to run it in at 5 yards. It's not that hard.
Well, there was a lot of bodies in I don't know that he would have made it. Obviously it was a split-second thing where he had a guy open, but the problem was the guy was open. His throw went nowhere near him.
Right.
His throw was 5 feet off. It went right to the Patriots player, but the Giants player was open away from him. Daniel Jones was running to the right, and the player was open to the left.
Yeah.
So that's why he as bad of a play it was trying to throw across your body like that and throw it back against the grain. The player was even farther back. It was the throw that he should know. I can't make this throw. Nobody can make it. Patrick Mahomes can't make that throw. So you don't make the throw. If you want to tuck it and try to run into the end zone, nobody wants to do that in an exhibition game. And I don't know if that was part of his thought process, but you don't want to get hurt in an exhibition game.
No, that's the worst thing.
So just throw it into the stands.
Right.
That's all.
And still no Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, and the Giants season starts. It'll be the second season under Joe Judge, and I tell you what, I'm a big Joe Judge fan. I like this guy. I didn't necessarily like the hire when it was made, but I like the way that how this guy is no nonsense and seems to have an idea about what he wants to do and how he wants to do it.
Right.
But the second season under Joe Judge starts on September 12th against Denver. So you got 2 more weeks for Saquon Barkley to get himself right and to get himself ready. And I know they didn't want to necessarily have him take any pounding in the preseason, and I don't disagree with that. But we still aren't 100% sure that Saquon Barkley is going to be ready for that season opener. I expect him to be dressed and ready to go. I don't know how many carries he'll get, but I expect him to be in pads and playing. So, we'll see. We'll see where that goes and how many carries he gets. And, I assume that first game, maybe 10 or 15 carries and kind of build up his workload over the course of the first 3 or so games. But, that's what I'm expecting for Saquon Barkley. The Giants don't necessarily have to rush him back because, in theory, this should be a passing team this year. With all the threats that they have.
I hope so.
And signing Kenny Golladay and the first round pick is a playmaking receiver. So a lot of this offense should be on Daniel Jones this year. He certainly has the weapons.
Well, this is his proof year. This is his year where it proves either he has or he doesn't. And maybe next year if it doesn't happen, they get they go for a quarterback in the draft or they trade for someone. This is his year to prove that he belongs here.
Yeah, if Daniel Jones doesn't get it done this year, and you remember that trade that the Giants made with the Chicago Bears, where they got the Bears #1 for this coming season.
Right.
If Daniel Jones isn't the answer, then that pick will get traded along with the Giants pick so that the Giants can move up in the draft and pick a quarterback somewhere.
Yeah, well.
And I'm talking. You trade 2 #1s, you can get a top 3 pick.
Yeah, definitely.
So. That was a good move by Dave Gettleman, the Giants GM, because if Jones doesn't work out, then it's time to say, all right, you know what, we're cutting the line here and we're moving on like the Jets did, and we're getting a new guy.
And the Jets tied the Eagles 31-31 with a Hail Mary pass in the final. No one played for no starters really played for the Jets, but
no starters played for the Jets because that was Friday when it poured and when we had like that crazy storm where it was monsooning for probably about an hour and a half, but it messed up the field a little bit. But James Morgan, the quarterback, threw a 49-yard Hail Mary to Kenny Yeboah.
Okay,
for the touchdown as time expired, and then the Jets made the 2-point conversion. So good for them. Good for them to pull the tie out.
Yeah, and the season starts on the 12th. It's a late start this year. So
yes,
it's not right after Labor Day, and also there's 17 games this season. There was only 3 exhibition games, which made it to me a better beginning of the season for me at least.
Well, it's one less exhibition game to have to deal with. And just before we go, brother, the Jets
you got to hurry right now.
Jets have traded for Shaq Lawson, who was a star in college at Clemson. To replace Carl Lawson, no relation, as an edge rusher, and they'll hope to get something out of him. They gave up a 6th rounder for him.
Okay, thank you, brother. You've been listening to 90.3 WHPC from the Press Box here every Monday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. This becomes a podcast later on Spreaker and all the places you find podcasts. My name is Rob Leonard. He is Tim Leonard. Big Ed Newlands is coming up next with Good Gold, so keep it tuned here. You will enjoy the show. Take care and bye-bye.